see from our banner here, the symbol for the International Year Cooperatives is a box, and you can see there's 7 people underneath. Well, the box represents what people can do when they come together to cooperate and work together. And the 7 people underneath represent the 7 principles of cooperation. So these are the principles around which the co-op model has evolved and developed and embodies in its structures and the work that it does. I think I only heard one ouch. So Megan is wearing principle number 1, which is voluntary and open membership. Principle number 2 is being worn by Lindsay. And she is wearing democratic member control. And what that means is that the basis of co-ops is 1 member, 1 vote. Principle number 3 is member economic participation. Okay, autonomy and independence. Principle number 4.
Principle number 5, education, training, and information.
Number 6, cooperation amongst cooperatives.
Hi, my name is Danny Du Bois, and concern for community, I think, is really a part of the DNA of cooperatives. It really is about people helping people. It's part of how all cooperatives were founded. So I think it is rooted in who we are and what we're all about, and it's truly at the essence of microcredit and microfinance as well.
John Hatch is the founder of Finca International, which is one of the largest microfinance institutions in the world.
Good morning. The inspiration for village banking, microcredit, our movement, and the principles that they rest on were inherited from the global co-op movement. From 1965 to 1967, I supervised 50 Peace Corps volunteers in cooperatives all over the country, working with credit unions and agricultural cooperatives, and I just absorbed that, and then it became part of my consciousness. It really is about unity in our movement. It's about a movement of movements. We don't have to fight over the poor. We don't have to compete for poor. There's enough out there for all of us to be fully employed. Not only does poverty kill, but so does indifference, and my own indifference killed. In those days, there were 40,000 children dying every single day around the world from chronic malnutrition and hunger-related diseases. Today, that number has been brought down to 9,000 children a day. It is a huge accomplishment of which we can be very proud, but it's not good enough. It's still a silent, preventable holocaust, and our insufficient attention to the matter as humanity is causing it to continue to kill kids. So where I start and where I end in microfinance is in the focus of saving the lives of children. And if we try to solve problems through government assistance programs, what we wind up with is the most expensive way to alleviate poverty ever conceived by the mind of man. But if we start from the bottom up and start taking advantage of the knowledge, the motivation, the strength of these communities in rural areas, we build the most economical, self-financing, and sustainable development programs on the planet. Second principle is focus on the mothers. There's an old saying, assist the mother and you assist the entire family. I had worked with co-ops. I had worked in Peace Corps. I had met a little black boy that I didn't help. And I was an open seedbed, a furrow, for a new idea that God wanted to get planted on the western side of the hemisphere, with liquor or without. Listen to that inner voice and respond, because you may be having your own epiphany. A village bank is a group, a support group of about 20 mothers, in Grameen is 30, who come together once a week to provide 3 services to themselves. A source of low-income loans for starting their own small businesses. Second, a safe place to deposit savings. And the third principle of the Village Bank is mutual support and empowerment, where the older members of the group help the younger members. Nobody ever borrowed their way out of poverty. You have to have the savings component. Instead of looking at village banking as intellectual property, I said, this was a gift of God to me. I am going to give it to everyone who will listen to me. And today there are now some 800 village banking programs worldwide, just by sharing. Today, the estimated number of microfinance institutions in the world, what we call MFIs in your program glossary, are now estimated at 10,000 around the planet. There's hardly a country on the planet, certainly in the third world, that doesn't have a microfinance program. That collective effort is now estimated to be reaching 160 million clients, current clients today. And that doesn't count the graduates. I would say a modest estimate of how many people have graduated out of microcredit and gone on to dependence on their own savings and continue to sustain their businesses is around 60 million. So if you add the graduates to the current clients, that takes us to 210 million around the planet. 210 million families. Now, if we use the average family size of 5 people, 1.2 billion persons benefited, 22% of all humanity. Find a single example in history of a movement that went that fast, that far, to so many places to benefit so many families and so many hundreds of thousands of children in a space. We're only about 20 years old. But our objective should be community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street, MFI by MFI, is nobody gets left behind. And it's our job as a credit group, as a village bank, as a savings group, to get out there and make sure that we have zero poverty in our community. I want an applause for these young people, the next generation who are going to do that. Do not think for a minute that this is an easy business. I think there ought to be graduate schools that are just teaching microfinance. Now that our movement is pretty much reaching self-sustainability at all levels of financial services, the whole movement is moving toward social projects, expanding the product mix into educational programs, health programs, housing programs. And it's an explosion of innovation. And if you look on your paperwork that you have here, and you have a logo of a lotus flower in all those beautiful shades of green, that is where microfinance, microcredit is at. That explosion of creativity in all these different directions that is reaching to the poorest parts of our planet and tapping into the resources at the bottom of the planet to finish a job which historically it's time now to end this whole. If you want an indicator of something that is too big to fail, try microcredit. Global microcredit has become too big to fail. They might shut down 1, 2, 3, 5 of us, but they're not going to shut down 10,000, growing at 20% a year. It's unstoppable.